is MJ, and in today's tutorial I'm going to be using Tuff Puff super bulky weight yarn to make a beautiful throw pillow for my bed. The stitch that I'll be using for this pillow is herringbone single crochet, and I'm using this large 15mm crochet hook. You could also work with a 16mm. If you can't find this hook, this is a Hook Nook jumbo size hook, and I will have the links in the description box on where you can find some of these jumbo size crochet hooks. So the color that I'm using is Flamingo, and this yarn is from WeCrochet. I will have the link in the description box where you can purchase this yarn, and the pattern is also free on my blog. So just go to the description box and you're going to find all those links, and you can go follow along with the pattern on the blog, or I have the PDF available for a small fee as well. So I have a nice big pillow form that I'm going to use. The size you can see here is 12 by 20 inches, and I just purchased a double pack of these off Amazon, and I'll have the links where you can purchase those. It's nice and puffy. This one's really nice and puffy and fluffy, so it's going to be great for this pattern. Okay, so I pulled out the yarn from the center so it looks a little messy to start with. Let's get started with a slip knot on our hook. And we're going to chain out a total of 33 stitches. Just make sure not to make them too tight or too loose, as even as you can get them. Okay, so I've chained out my 33 stitches. Now what I want you to do is turn so that you can see the back hump of the stitch. So here's the front of the stitch. You can see your nice chains, and then you turn it and you can see these little bumps. That is what we're going to work into to really make that nice clean edge that we want for this cover. So we're going to work, the first stitch will be a single crochet. So go through, pulling up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. Now what we're going to do to make our herringbone single crochet is we're going to be going through this bar that you see right here. So go through, then we're going to go to the next bump of the chain, pull up a loop. So now you have 3 on the hook, and always make sure you just pull the loops all up that they're the same height, and that's going to help us work into that last bar each time. So now pull through all 3. Go through the last bar. So if you look there, you can kind of see the 3 loops here. There's the last bar. Go through it. Go through the next stitch. You're going to pull up a loop. Make sure that your yarn isn't tugging. I'm going to pull a bunch out because you don't want it to tug and distort or pull the stitch too tight. Yarn over, pull through. Again, go through the next bump, pull that up, yarn over, pull through all 3. And you're just going to continue in this manner all the way along the chain. So we're going to end up with a total of 32 stitches, and you can turn your work and count your V's here. Nice big V's, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've done 5. You need to work along the rest of the chain to get the rest of my stitches. Okay, so now what we're going to do, I've worked across, I've got 32 stitches. I'm going to chain 1 and turn. So now what we're going to do, this row is the most challenging, so I'm going to work through it really slow to help you get it. So I've chained 1 here at the start. A couple things you want to remember when you're working the herringbone single is that you need to make sure this yarn doesn't get pushed to the back, that you're always going to be to the front. So make sure it's to the front. And now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working from back to front. Okay, so we're not going from front to back anymore, we're going the reverse. So for our first stitch, We're gonna go through and we're gonna grab this yarn. So see how we have it pulled to the front? I'm gonna grab it. And what I like to do is just let my hook fully rotate and spin around. I get it into position, make sure my loops are pulled up so that they're not too tight, yarn over and pull through 2. Okay, so the first isn't too tricky. The next, it's gonna take a little bit more maneuvering. So what I want you to do is now look at this work. See how we see those 2 bars? Remember when we worked the front side, we were working through that 1 bar? Well, we're doing the same thing. It's just, it's now on the back. So it's just a little trickier to see. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna go through that bar, push your hook through. Then we're going back to front. So we're going under the stitch like so. We're grabbing that yarn, pulling it through. Okay, you want to make sure you just take your time, pull that all of these 3 loops are up, yarn over, and pull through. Okay, so now when you flip, you're going to see the 3 bars. It's always going to be this last one here that we're going to go through, and making sure those stitches are loose is going to make that easy to work into. We're keeping our yarn to the front. Remember, we don't want it to get snugged back there. It's going to mess up the look of the pattern. We're going to take our hook, we're going to go back to front under the next stitch. You can see your next stitch right there, going under both loops. We're grabbing that yarn, pulling it, and I just rotate my hook around just to get it in position. Get all those 3 loops pulled up, yarn over, pull through all 3. And I just keep turning, looking at my work. And then you can see the next stitch. I'm just going right under it, grabbing the yarn, rotating my hook, pulling up all 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 3. And once you really get the hang of it, you can work it rather quickly. But when you're learning, it really feels tricky. Okay, I've practiced this enough. I've almost made a whole blanket with it, so I've practiced it a lot. So just don't give up. Keep playing. You're going to see that it's going to start creating this fish braid look on the back. You're always counting down 1, 2, 3. Go under that bar. Find your next stitch. Go under those 2 loops. Grab your yarn. Twist it around. Just twist that hook. Pull up. Yarn over. Pull through 3. So that's the tricky row, and I'm going to continue working that all the way across, and I'll meet you up at the end. Okay, so once I get to the end, I'm going to chain 1 and turn. And this is, of course, the easier row that we're going to be working on. So we're going to work the first stitch as a single crochet. Then we're going to go make our herringbone single. So go through that last bar, go under the stitch, pull up a loop. Make sure that you're pulling all of those 3 stitches up to height, yarn over, pull through. This row will go really quickly. Because you're not having to flip your work. This whole stitch, everything is nice and loose and relaxed about it. You don't want to be pulling anything tight. You want to keep your hands relaxed, your hook relaxed, and just keep everything nice and loose, and it will make it so easy to work into. So whether you're working on the pillow or the blanket, just keep going. What you're going to do is repeat row 2 and row 3 now for the pattern throughout. Okay, so for the blanket, you will have 114 stitches, and our pillow we have 32 stitches. And for our pillow, we're going to be working up 13 rows. So I'm going to continue this now off camera, and I'm going to work a total of 13 rows for my pillow. Okay, so I've completed both of my panels. So I've worked a total of 13 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And my piece is measuring about 18 by 12. So just so that you stay on track, that's roughly the size. Now what I'm going to do is put my panels together, and I'm going to have the wrong sides facing, so the right sides are out, and I'm going to start just to seam up my cover. So I want to get 3 sides done, then I can insert the pillow inside and then just finish the remaining. So I'm going to chain 1. I'm just going to continue right from where I left off on my second panel here. I'm going to work through a space on this side. And I'm going to single crochet the sides together. You just want to make sure that they're even. You've got them pulled so that we're single crocheting down the side. And you want to keep track as to how many stitches you work down the side, because you want to do the same thing on the other side. Basically, you're wanting to do 1 single crochet per row. Okay, so I'm going to continue working that down. There's 1, 2, 3. Here's row 4. And it can be a little bit tight getting through. So when you get down to the corner, I suggest adding an extra stitch in that final one. And then here is the first stitch. First stitch. So this is a little easier going through because you're just wanting to find each of those stitches. I didn't weave any of my tails, so I'm just going over them as I go. Okay, so I'm working my way up here to the corner, and in the last stitch, we're going to add 2. Okay, and then we're going to turn. Make sure again that we line those edges up, and we're working 1 single crochet per row. So this is the first row right here. And you can check it out on the other side. So we're going to work across 13 single crochet stitches along this side of the cover. Okay, I've worked my way to the end. I've got 13 stitches and we're going to add an extra in that last stitch. So we have 14. Turn the corner. I'm going to get it started before I put my pillow in. So here's the first stitch. The first stitch. I might just do one more. Okay, and I'm going to grab my pillow and get it put inside now the cover. Okay, so I've started working across. It may feel like it's a little bit snug, but you want, this yarn will stretch, so you do want that it's nice and tight. So you're just pulling them, stretching them together, and just going through each stitch across. So I'm going to just continue working it off camera and then I will meet you up at the end. Okay, I'm working my way here to the very end. And what we want to do to stay consistent, the very last stitch we're going to add 2. Okay, and then we will slip stitch to the starting single crochet to join. You can see how nice, and I really like the edge on this. And then the final thing we'll do is add tassels. Now you could keep it just as is, and if so, I used 5 balls to do the front and back cover, so you would only need 5, but if you want to do tassels, then I suggest getting that 6th ball. So you're going to need a yarn needle here for bulky yarn, so just make sure it has a really big end on it. There's so many different types you can get. I like to keep these plastic ones in my stash because they're great for this really super bulky yarn. Now, actually, I could show you here. Here I'm doing it old school. You can actually do a seamless join, and I think that's what's probably gonna look better. So instead of slip stitching here to join, we can do this instead. So what you're gonna wanna do is take your tail, go under the first stitch, and then go back through the center of the last stitch. And then what this is going to do is create basically a faux stitch. And then that is just nice and seamless. And then we can just weave the tail. So this is going to be a spot cleaning pillow. So if you wanted to do it with a washable yarn, then you could throw it in the wash, but this yarn is hand wash only. So basically, if it gets a dirty mark, you're just going to want to spot clean this pillow. Mine is just going to be sitting on my bed, so it's not going to be getting really used. It's just more to look pretty. Okay, so that part is done. So now I'm gonna show you how to do the tassels. There's, different ways you could do the twisted fringe on the side to match the blanket, or we could do big chunky tassels just on the 4 corners, or you can tassel it the entire way around the pillow. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make the tassels, and you can have them, like I say, go all around the pillow, just at the corners, whatever you like. So these little ones that I'm making here, I'm doing 9-inch strands. I'm just going to take my measuring tape, and I want 9 inches, and I want 10 strands per tassel. So there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to do one more. And I need another one for wrapping. And I'd like it long so that I can wrap around the tassel a few times. So I'm going to make it about 22 inches. Okay. So you want to cut all of the ends. You want to tie in the center. So this is what you'll use to tie to the pillow. And it's really easy. You can just tie to the stitches, so wherever you decide you want to put them. So what you do is you tie it, and then you can just weave those tails down through the tassel ball. So then we're going to take our long piece to make our ball. So you want to tie that one end's shorter, the end that's going to go down with all the other tassel pieces. Okay, and then you can just take your longer piece and just wrap it around. Take your yarn needle and then just weave that down to secure that. Try and keep that they're all about the same, and then you just want to trim off all of that excess. So I'm just going to keep making my tassels off camera, and then I will meet you back up again to show you the finished look. Okay, so I finished attaching 5 tassels on this side, and I did 5 tassels on the other side of the pillow as well. And I really like that look. I think it looks great. So this is the finished pillow. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. Thanks so much, everyone. Have an awesome day.